watching the Urban Debate on Mirror. I'm Faye D'Souza. But before we take you to the debate tonight, an update from AIIMS in Delhi. Former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's condition is stable from what we understand. The decision on his discharge from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences is yet to be taken. He was admitted this afternoon for a routine checkup, from what we understood, and reports told us that he had an entire team of doctors, nephrology, gastroenterology, pulmonology and cardiology looking at him. But he was fundamentally being monitored by Randeep Guleria, the doctor who has been his personal physician for over 3 decades. But the reason why currently there's so much attention on this particular patient in this particular hospital is the string of VVIP visitors he's receiving. We understand the Prime Minister, the Home Minister will also visit. Rahul Gandhi visited earlier today. Vinay Tiwari joins me right now, consulting editor for the Times Network. Vinay, thank you for joining us. Is this list of VVIP visitors to the hospital normal, Vinay, in your in your opinion, given the fact that we've been told it's a routine checkup?
Yes, I mean, well, if that's what the AIIMS is saying, we've got to take that at face value for sure. But I think the background of what Mr. Vajpayee was going through, which viewers would remember that for the last 10 years, he's been suffering from a fairly serious case of Alzheimer's. He had a whole lot of other problems as well over the last 10 years, and he's remained completely out of public life for all these years. Nobody has seen him. There is a very few select group of people who actually get to meet him. And obviously, because of the effects of Alzheimer's, he is unable to even recognize most of them. So, naturally, this has been a bit of a history to his health, which has not been the best in the last 10 years or so. But I think the larger point which you asked is about the stature and the position that Mr. Vajpayee holds in the Indian political system, and not just in the Indian system, but perhaps even at the Asian and international level. He's perhaps one of India's last surviving statesmen. We've had a series of statesmen maybe over the decades, but he's perhaps one of the last surviving statesmen in India, and his stature and his respect across party lines is something that is unprecedented. And I guess that's one reason why you're seeing the Prime Minister and other political party leaders making a visit to the hospital affair.
Well, Vinay, obviously, like you said, Mr. Vajpayee currently 93 years old and had sort of retreated from public life over a decade ago. But for most people who follow politics in this country, remember his speeches in Parliament as, something that regular Indians would tune in to listen to, because he was such a fantastic orator. And that's perhaps, one of the things that people will always keep in mind about his time in Parliament and his time as Prime Minister. He was able to communicate and use the language, with the Hindi language so well. It touched plenty of lives.
Yes, and I think Vajpayee, not only was he a great orator, as you rightly said, he was also a poet. He loved poetry. He loved the idea of using poetry to make his point, and then he used his skill with words and poetic language to great effect, even in the way he conducted his office. Very often when journalists would ask him a difficult question, Vajpayee's answer was actually a couplet from a poem, and that would actually put a lot of journalists off guard. They wouldn't really know how to counter or put a cross question to him. So he was extremely erudite, extremely intelligent, and I think extremely well-read literature in many ways. Somebody who understood and appreciated the finer aspects of life, and has shown what oratory and the power of it can do. Remember, Faye, he is also the man who for the first time went to the United Nations and decided to give a speech in Hindi. In those days, it was customary for Indian Prime Ministers to address international bodies in English. Vajpayee made a significant departure on that, and pretty much announced the arrival of India on the international stage. I mean, he insisted that India is a large enough country to have the confidence to speak their own language, and he actually went there and did that. It's something which really made him be noticed in the international community as well, Faith.
Well, Vinay, please stay with us. Our correspondent Aishwarya is now outside of AIIMS. We'll, go across to see if she can give us an update of what is going on there. Aishwarya, what can you tell us right now? Has AIIMS put out any other official information about this VIP, patient that they have tonight?
Well, there is one statement that has come out from AIIMS, and I'll read that statement out. The statement reads that Atal Bihari Vajpayee is stable. A team of doctors under the supervision of Dr. Randeep Guleria, who's the director of AIIMS, they are conducting tests on him. This is the official statement coming out from AIIMS. Also, the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and Amit Shah are inside AIIMS currently. We are also expecting Rajnath Singh to arrive here very shortly. We also know that Rahul Gandhi had visited Atal Bihari Vajpayee inside AIIMS a few hours ago. So definitely we can expect a slew of other politicians also making a beeline here outside AIIMS to meet Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
All right, Aishwarya, thank you for that update. Aishwarya, they're outside of AIIMS. We're going to go back to her for updates if there is any change. But as of now, Vinay, AIIMS telling us that he is stable, that Mr. Vajpayee is stable. You know, that should give a lot of people comfort tonight.
Yes, and I think that's excellent news to hear, because if the AIIMS bulletin says he's stable, means his vitals and his faculties are all working fine. And I think that's great news, because he's clearly a leader whose wisdom, and if he was fitter and maybe in better health, his wisdom was actually most needed at a time like the current we are going through. And his, not only his wisdom in terms of the general politics of India, but his wisdom for the BJP as well is something that is invaluable. So it's great news that the doctors are saying that he's stable. And I guess we should all wish him a very speedy recovery and him returning back to his home.
Absolutely. So a quick prayer there for a speedy recovery for Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, former Prime Minister and statesman, tall leader who very interestingly served in Lok Sabha for 10 terms and has served the country for most of his adult life. Atal Bihari Vajpayee is currently at AIIMS, and the AIIMS bulletin, like we were just told, has said that he is stable, his vitals are stable, and that's good news for the time being. Vinay Tiwari on the phone line, and Aishwarya standing outside of AIIMS, and we'll come back. Aishwarya will give us updates if there is any sort of change in that in Mr. Vajpayee's condition. But for now, as has been told to us, he is stable, and he will perhaps spend the night at AIIMS. Like the doctors have told us, he has received a string of very prominent VVIP visitors this evening, including the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, and Mr. Amit Shah, the President of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Rahul Gandhi, the President of the Congress Party, also visited earlier today. So all eyes currently on AIIMS, and we wish Mr. Vajpayee a speedy recovery.